August 15, 1943. 34,000 American soldiers claw their way onto a frozen volcanic beach in the Aleutian Islands. Rifles raised, braced for a slaughter. Somewhere in the fog ahead wait thousands of Japanese defenders, dug into bunkers, primed to kill every man who sets foot on Kiska. Except they are not there. They have not been there for over 2 weeks. This is the Aleutian Campaign, America's forgotten Arctic war, fought on a chain of volcanic rocks between Alaska and Japan. Months earlier, the neighboring island of Attu had shown the Allies exactly what a Japanese garrison would do rather than surrender. Nearly the entire force died in a suicidal banzai charge, with only a handful taken alive. Kiska, larger and better defended, is expected to be far worse. By mid-1943, intelligence estimates place roughly 5,000 Japanese troops on Kiska, backed by coastal artillery and a hidden base for midget submarines. Major General Charles Corlett assembles a colossal amphibious force to retake it. 34,000 American troops joined by more than 5,000 Canadian soldiers, the largest such operation yet staged in the Pacific theater. Warships and bombers begin a relentless bombardment, determined to crush the island's defenses before a single boot hits the sand. For weeks, cruisers and destroyers under Admiral Thomas Kinkaid tighten a naval blockade around Kiska, sealing the Japanese garrison off from rescue or resupply. Aerial reconnaissance flights, flown blind through near-permanent fog, report only battered camps and silent gun emplacements. No one yet suspects that silence might mean something other than an ambush. On the night of July 26th, radar operators aboard the American blockade fleet detect a swarm of contacts surging toward them, a possible Japanese relief force closing fast. Captains order every gun to open fire, and for over an hour the fleet unloads more than 1,000 shells into the darkness, chasing blips across their screens. When dawn breaks, there is no wreckage, no debris, no enemy ships. The targets were flocks of birds, or possibly a freak atmospheric anomaly, bouncing false echoes across primitive radar screens. Historians will later call it the Battle of the Pips, a furious naval engagement fought entirely against ghosts. But the phantom battle carries a devastating real-world cost. Chasing the false contacts pulls the blockade fleet out of position, opening a gap in the wall meant to seal Kiska shut. It is a mistake the Allies do not yet know they have made, and the Japanese are about to exploit it perfectly. 2 days later, on July 28th, the Aleutian fog rolls in thick as a shroud, cutting visibility to almost nothing. For Rear Admiral Masatomi Kimura, waiting offshore with a rescue fleet of cruisers and destroyers, the weather that has tormented sailors on both sides all summer suddenly becomes his greatest weapon. Kimura threads his ships through the blind, uncharted fog and into Kiska Harbor, racing against the return of visibility and the American patrols. On the shore, 5,183 Japanese soldiers wait in silence, their equipment already stripped, abandoned, or booby-trapped for the enemy who will come looking for them. In just 55 minutes, the entire garrison boards the ships and vanishes back into the fog. It is one of the most efficient mass evacuations of the Second World War, carried out without a single loss of life, and without the Allied blockade ever knowing it happened. For the next 2.5 weeks, American bombers and warships continue pounding Kiska anyway, unaware the island is now empty. Hundreds of tons of bombs and 330 tons of naval shells fall on foxholes with no one left to occupy them. A bombardment aimed at ghosts, just like the Battle of the Pips before it. Reconnaissance photographs show craters, wrecked buildings, and camps gone quiet, and intelligence officers read the silence exactly the wrong way. Rather than evidence of an empty island, the stillness is interpreted as a trap. A garrison playing dead, waiting to spring an ambush the moment the Americans come ashore. On August 15th, the invasion fleet finally sends its troops ashore under cover of dense morning fog. The same fog that let the Japanese slip away now hides the island from the men storming it. Soldiers move inland rifle first, certain that snipers and machine gun nests wait behind every rock and ridge. Visibility drops to a few feet in places. Squads lose sight of each other in the mist, and shapes moving through the gray are mistaken for the enemy rather than fellow soldiers from a different unit landing on the same slope. Shots ring out in the fog, American rifles firing on American troops, Canadians firing on Americans, and back again. By the time the shooting stops, dozens of Allied soldiers lie dead or wounded, killed not by a single Japanese bullet, but by their own side's fear and confusion. It is friendly fire on a scale rarely seen in the Pacific War, born entirely from an enemy who was never actually there. The Japanese have left one more trap behind. Mines and booby traps scattered through camps, trails, and the harbor itself. On August 17th, the destroyer USS Abner Reed strikes one of these sea mines, and the explosion tears away its stern, killing 71 sailors, the single deadliest incident of the entire operation. Beyond the mines and the friendly fire, the Aleutian wilderness itself becomes an enemy. Freezing fog, driving rain, and volcanic mud leave more than 130 men suffering trench foot, frostbite, and exposure, casualties inflicted by the weather alone, on an island where no battle is ever actually fought. By August 24th, after a full sweep of the island, commanders are forced to accept the truth. Kiska has been empty since before the invasion even began. In total, 313 Americans and Canadians are killed or wounded taking a piece of volcanic rock with no one left to defend it. Among the wreckage, soldiers find only 4 half-starved stray dogs left behind by the fleeing garrison, prompting a dry quip from Admiral Ernest King about the Navy's newest captives. Nearby, the Japanese have left one final message, a wooden sign scrawled with a promise that they will return. It is the only trace of an enemy that 39,300 men crossed an ocean to fight. Operation Cottage stands as one of the strangest chapters of the Second World War. A full-scale invasion, a fog-shrouded escape, and a battle where the only shots that landed were fired by one side at itself. Rear Admiral Kimura's silent withdrawal outmaneuvered an entire Allied fleet without firing a single shot, and Kiska's empty foxholes remain a lasting monument to how, in war, the deadliest enemy is sometimes no enemy at all.